Hey there, Dr. Carolyn Snodgrass here. This video is about the rules of decimals all in one place. Always remember, the rules don't change, only the numbers do. Let's get started. In add and subtract, you will always line up the decimals, no matter what. Here's an example. Here we have 343.4 plus 5.607. When spaces are left empty after the decimal, meaning to the right, you can add in some zeros. Go ahead and add. And you can place the decimal. Some people like to place the decimal before or after. Just don't forget to put it in the answer, which is a common mistake. Let's do another example. 24.5 minus 5. Here we have a whole number, and you always think of the decimal at the very end of a whole number. 24.5 minus 5. I'm going to put in my decimals for nice and tidy, and I'm going to place a 0 to the right just to hold that spot. Then you do your math as normal. 5 minus 0 is 5. Borrow. 14 minus 5 is 9, and 1 minus 0 is 1. Notice the lineup. It will always be the same for add and subtract, no matter the math. Let's go to the multiply rule. You will always count the spaces to the right of your decimal, however many in the question will be how many are in the answer. Let's do an example. 68.2 times 8.4. Determine where your decimals are. Count the spaces to the right or behind the decimal. There's 1, there's 2. There's 2 spaces in the question, so therefore there should be 2 spaces in the answer. Let's go ahead and do the math. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 8 is 32. 6 times 4 is 24. 25, 26, 27. Then we're going to add. Since 8 is in the tens position, we got to remember to put a 0 in that spot. So 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 8 is 64, 65. And then 6 times 8 is 48, plus 6 is going to be 54. Now we add. 8 plus 0 is 8, 6, 7, 8. 7 and 5 is 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 5. Don't forget, we need to place our decimal in the end. So remember, we have 2 in the question. We should have 2 behind or to the right in the answer. Just remember, we do the count right here, 2 to the right, 2 to the right. Remember, the math is the same, and then it's where you place your decimal. The divide rule is usually the hardest for students to remember, so I've created a silly story. Let's imagine you and a friend go to a movie. Your friend sits on the end here. They're all happy. They have their popcorn, they have their soda pop, and they're ready. Before you came in, you decided to run to the restroom, and then when you walk in, you notice something. They're sitting in your seat. You have a really long neck, you have your soda pop, you have your popcorn. So you tell them, scooch over. Because this is always your seat, and they know that. That's why you're frustrated. So you scooch over once, and if you scooch over once, your friend has to scooch over once. If you wanted to scoot over twice, your friend needs to scoot over twice. So let's look at some examples. This is your favorite spot right here. Always remember, you always want to be on the end. So if you scooch over once, your friend scoots over once, look up at the screen and watch the movie. Then the math is the same rules as long division, which I have in another video. Let's do another example. Notice the 5 outside is a whole number. And in whole numbers, remember the decimal is already on the end. So you don't need to scooch over. So your friend's happy, look up at the screen, watch the movie. Another example, remember where you want to sit is right here on the end. So scooch over twice, they scooch over twice, look up, watch the movie. And lastly, now remember where you want to sit, you scooch over once, but notice this is a whole number. So place your decimal at the end. You scooch over once, they scooch over once, look up and watch the movie. In this case, there is a space left behind, so I just place a place holding 0. Then do your long division. like I have in another video. All you have to remember, other than the regular math, is the rules of decimals that I have highlighted here. Remember, the rules don't change, only the numbers do. Line up, count your spaces, and your scooch method. For the rest, all the math is the same.